Welcome to Eating Plebian. This is my wok. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Today we are doing pork fried rice. Starting off with our ingredients, I've got about 1 pound of roast pork. I made pork tenderloin the other night and had an entire other one that was just screaming to have something nice made out of it. And this is what I determined to do. I also have a half an onion, or just one small onion, one large carrot finely chopped up, 2 eggs. I've got a half cup each of sweet peas and sweet corn. These can be frozen, they can be canned, they can be fresh, whatever you'd like. That's the great thing about fried rice, is you can put almost anything in it. I've got 3 to 5 cloves of garlic that is also finely minced. You know, use at your discretion. Some regular high heat cooking oil, soy sauce, a little bit of hoisin sauce because I actually like that as well. And I've got about 4 cups of white rice that I have made up earlier this morning. And I placed it inside the refrigerator uncovered because I actually wanted it to dehydrate a little bit. And the starches on the insides of each of the grains here have crystallized, and it's trapped its moisture in there. And that's what gives the fried rice its character for being able to kind of fall apart, so it's not clumpy or disintegrates when it's in the wok. Now, the last thing that I want to touch on is this forward bottle here, the toasted sesame oil. I went for a long time trying to come up with a reason as to why my fried rice tasted just like fried rice with stuff in it, and not fried rice that you would actually get at a Chinese restaurant. It turns out that the sesame oil is absolutely the key. Now, it doesn't need much, only a couple of tablespoons, but it really makes or breaks a fried rice dish. Oh, and then there's my iced tea, which does not, of course, come into this recipe. Now, even though I've got my meat set up, I have a few items that I need to take care of before I turn on the fires of perdition in this wok over here. And the first thing is I need to separate these grains. Best thing to use is your hands. Now, just before I walked into frame here, I wet my hands down a little bit. That's going to help quite a bit from them sticking. It creates just a little lubricating layer from the outside of the rice kernels. And now we'll just be able to crush these, not crush, but separate these grains off. Just use your hands, pull them apart. Doesn't need to be perfect, and you certainly don't have to go grain by grain. But another one of the reasons that we want to do this is that once we apply heat, the crystallization of the starches makes the rice kernels a little more fragile, and it's easy to then crush the things. If you were trying to use a spatula to separate these things off, or we tend to try to cut things with the edge. That's not really that good, and so we want all of our kernels intact and not a big wok of porridge. So there's that, and we're ready. Give me just a second. I need to rinse my hands off. The second item on the block is, of course, these eggs. So what we're going to do is just break them on in, and we're going to give them a quick beating. There's one. There's the other. And what we're going to do is actually give these just a little bit of salt as well, because it helps break down some of the protein fibers, or protein bundles that are on the inside. And it helps it to not clump up quite as much. It would be helpful if I waited for a period of time as well, but it's not going to be that much of an issue. There is a order that you need to go through for each of the ingredients that we kind of add separately into the wok, because different ingredients, depending on whether they're frozen, whether they're fresh, what type of food it is, are going to have different cooking times. And so we're going to add things in an order that will allow them all to reach maturity in the wok at about the same time. So there's a little bit of artifice here. All right, I've got that. And I'm going to heat up my wok. I'm going to put this on dead high on my biggest burner. And I'm going to reposition my camera. I'll be back with you in just a minute. The wok has now been on for a few minutes, and we've got, around 400 or some odd degrees, depending on where I measure it from with my little infrared thermometer, but that is definitely enough. I'm going to start off with just about a tablespoon of my frying oil, and I'm going to do the egg first. The egg represents the only ingredients here that I am going to be removing from the wok and then re-adding back in once we get everything going. But we just don't want this to overcook at all. And boy, it doesn't take long, as you can see. And about 15 seconds later, there we are. I've got a bowl standing by for a landing place. I don't want this to get any color put on it or anything. Then I'll set this aside. I'm going to grab myself a paper towel and wet it just a little bit. Be careful if you do this. Matter of fact, I recommend you don't do this because steam burns are a thing. And I'm just going to get the majority of the extra egg out from the wok so we can continue on. Close enough. There we go. Okay. So, what I was talking about with the oil, I'm actually going to be using a combination here. And so I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons on this one. And going now to the toasted sesame oil, I'm going to put 2 more in. You're going to be using a rather surprising amount of oil in this because there's a whole lot of surface area for the rice and other things to soak up. So I'm going to just put in my carrots first. These are raw carrots. Boy, I can smell the sesame. It's fantastic. And I just wanted to be able to give these just a minute or so in order for them to cook through because, you know, you don't want the things to be totally cooked to mush, but at the same time, when they're raw, it's just not what you're expecting inside of a dish of fried rice. But it really isn't going to take long here. My next item is going to be my garlic. That's the 3 to 5 cloves that goes in. Again, we're just going to kiss it for a minute. And keep moving it. As hot as this thing is, American home stoves do not hold a candle, har har, to Chinese and Asian restaurants wok stoves. I don't know if there's a particular name for it. Onions going in. But those things are just like rocket engines upside down. They're truly incredible, the amount of heat they put off. So we're going to end up having to spend just a little more time trying to get everything where we want it to be. And we want them just cooked just enough. We do not want to make everything floppy. And so we've got that. Now I'm going to put in our pork. Remember, this pork is already cooked. All we need to do is warm it up. We keep adding mass so we're not burning the items that we put in earlier. It keeps the temperature regulated just a little bit. A wok has to, everything in a wok, you've got to keep it moving. In a traditional wok, like a carbon steel wok, those are arguably better. This one tends to hold on to its heat a little bit better because it's cast iron. So there are some differences that you'd end up having to get used to. Maybe at some point I'll get another one. And I'm going to use this moment of cruising to add my salt and my pepper. because it's going to be a little too difficult to add it and stir it in a little later. So I'm going to go for just about a full teaspoon here of salt. Anything really starchy, you kind of got to do the salt up a bit. I want to stir, but I'm not done putting pepper in yet. I just don't want the stuff at the bottom to get complacent. A half to 3/4 teaspoon here is called for, I think. Now I'm going to end up going for my peas. Get in there. And corn. I said, get in there. I don't want you. As I said, you can put almost anything in here. If I had some broccoli, if I had mushrooms, if I had those tiny little cabbages, the napas, or not napas, bok choy, is it? Yeah, I would certainly use those. But this is just kind of like your basic fried rice that you can pick up. Okay, so now I'm going to go for this rice because there's nothing in here that can't be eaten raw. None of it is raw, not at this point. But now we put in the rice. You'll note that it's coming apart. Excuse me. On its own. Texas allergies hitting me again. I've made comment to that. And because of this mess, the temperature of the wok is going to drop down a little bit. Nothing we can do about that. And again, this isn't a commercial stove. So it's going to take a little bit longer in here. This is a recipe that gets requested in my house, especially by my kids, quite often. They really love this. It's looking a little dry, so I'm going to go for just another tablespoon or two of the toasted sesame oil. And because I'm at that pause right now, I'm also going to put in about 1.5 tablespoons of soy. You can hear it reaching the bottom. And approximately that same amount of hoisin sauce. Oh, it caught me flat-footed. Don't you hate these stupid things? Let me see if I can get this thing open real quick. Oh, there we go. Right when I needed you. I also want to give this a shake. We're going to go for about tablespoon and a half. I think that's probably got it. Adds a nice sweetness. There's no sweetness in soy sauce, but the hoisin sauce, absolutely. We are getting there. We are almost done. And yeah, okay, we've got the oil level right now. I'm getting just the right amount of glisten off the rice. And now is about the time that I put the egg back in because we are nearly done. I'm going to chop this up a little bit. I'll try to distribute it as best I can. I could have done that in the bowl. That would have been wise, wouldn't it? There we are. And we're about done. This is a full family meal here with maybe a bowl or two left over for leftovers. Again, it is that popular in this house. I have a bowl waiting for me, and I'm going to decamp this to the bowl. Be right back. And so there we have it already. We've got some of our fried rice here. I've got a good amount waiting in the wings there for the rest of the family. This is one of those things where the preparation takes a whole lot longer than the actual cooking. I think that was just a couple of minutes, but anyhow, I really hope you enjoy this recipe and that it helps you, make more meals at home, get the family together. Once, a meal a day does a great thing for family cohesion, and also because of the expenses and everything else that our economy is handing out these days, we really need to watch those takeout and restaurant bill dollars. It's just the way it is. So if you would do me a favor, please, and hit the like and the subscribe buttons. It does me immeasurable good to get this out there, to get people kind of over that rise in order to start making food for themselves and their families again. I think it's kind of important. Anyhow, for Eating Plebian, thanks very much.